This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Let's talk about the Royal Rumble. It goes down January 21st in Fresno. Bret's going to defend the world title against The Undertaker. This is at the time a very rare babyface versus babyface match with two of the top guys. And it sort of happens cold too. Why does this make sense for a Royal Rumble main event?
I don't know that it does make sense, quite frankly. But the babyface versus babyface situation doesn't concern me at all. I have no issues with babyface matches because the prize, the goal, the common denominator that links these two babyfaces together is who leaves as a champion. So it's all about the championship. Hence why I believe that championships should go on last more often than not, with a few exceptions to that rule. So, I didn't have a problem with the babyface component whatsoever. But the match could have had a better build. But Undertaker was made, he's going to fight for the championship, all that good stuff. And I had no issues with it, but it was unique at that time to have a match that on that level between two baby faces. But I thought it worked out fine. I don't know, Meltzer gave it 2 1/4, 3/4 stars or whatever the hell it was. I thought it was a good story. They went 28 minutes. It's fun to call. So I had no issues with that whatsoever, that booking.
Bret, as we mentioned, he's in Fort Wayne on this October 21st Raw. That's when he makes the big announcement. Backstage, he runs into Shawn and asks, "Do you mind if I say something about your Playgirl magazine spread?" And he wanted to start building the heat for WrestleMania right away. Shawn says, supposedly, "Say whatever you want." Fast forward a week and they do a split screen with Steve Austin and Bret as we build towards Survivor Series. Bret's at his house. It's a very intense segment between the two. It's very well done. And during it is when Austin said next week he's going to visit Brian Pillman's house, which we know became the gun incident. Bret said the week before Survivor Series, Steve flew to meet him in Calgary and work out the entire match. They're standing by the ring in Bret's pool room, and Steve told Bret he didn't feel Shawn was the right guy to lead the company. So Bret's feeling like, hey man, I'm justified in my feelings towards Shawn, I guess. And that gets us to Survivor Series, which recently re-aired on FS1 of all places. And this is one of my favorite pay-per-views ever. It goes down from Madison Square Garden, November 17th. Bret pins Austin in a truly classic match, 28.5 minutes. Meltzer gives it 4.5 stars. And Bret said that he felt like Vince and JR were taking subtle cheap shots at him during the commentary. What do you think of, what'd you think of the match? And what'd you think of Bret saying that you and Vince were taking subtle cheap shots at that Survivor Series match?
The match was great. Quite frankly, again, another major significant building block in getting Austin to the next level through the compliments and the efforts of Bret Hart. The plan was, that Bret was going to become a heel. And so I don't, Conrad, I can't remember that commentary this many years later, the subtleties that he's talking about. But if that's if that's Bret's feeling, I can't deny it.
Right.
I can't say, well, no, you're just being paranoid. And maybe he was a little paranoid, but I don't remember ever taking massive cheap shots at Bret Hart. In a match like that, you have very little time to do background stuff. Now, a lot of companies are doing that now, where you have action in the ring and they're wrestling and they're working holes occasionally, or slapping their leg. What the fuck? God damn it! Slap my leg. You're too busy. But knowing that sometimes it's not what you say, it's what you don't say in commentary. But we knew eventually that Bret was going to be a wrestling heel, which is my favorite characterization in all of wrestling, a wrestling heel. I love it. So I don't remember taking shots, and I was never told to take shots. Remember, McMahon was in the lead. I'm not passing the shit off to him and not taking any responsibility. I followed like the guys that I work with now. I'm the point guy in AEW. And Shivani and Excalibur, I don't say they follow me, but somebody's got to start the conversation. Somebody's got to get us into the show from the break and take us to the break and navigate those waters. And that's what McMahon's role was at that time as the owner and the lead commentator. So my role was to fit into that scenario. But I'm not going to disagree with Bret that the cheap shots term might be something I wouldn't use, but I understand how he would use it. And I don't have any lack of respect or angst that he wrote that in his book.
I mean, Austin is a made man after this Survivor Series match. I mean, what a fall he's had. I mean, I guess you could go back to the summer though. I mean, he wins King of the Ring, cuts the Austin 316 promo, then has, a rather interesting encounter with Yokozuna on the free for all where Yoko breaks the top rope on the free for all. But then as we get into September, he starts the trash talk with Bret. He has the whole gun thing with Pillman in November. He's at a sold out Madison Square Garden in a tremendous match with Bret Hart. Austin is a star on the rise in a big time match like this with a ton of time to tell a story. And he locks in the finish. It's the famous finish from WrestleMania 8 where he's got the $1 Million Dream on, which at the time was one of his finishing maneuvers. And Bret pushes off the top rope, uses his own weight and while he's in the submission move, catch the pin on Steve Austin. On the other side of this, Bret has made Steve a much bigger star, has he not?
Oh my God. Absolutely. Absolutely. And look, they're two peas in a pod, man. They're two peas in a pod, quite frankly, those cats. They had a lot of similarities, strong pride, strong feelings about their work, their love of the profession they chose, lifelong fans. There's so many similarities in Bret Hart and Stone Cold especially in that particular point in time. And I'm sure, and I know Steve, I still talk to Steve, often. He's never said a negative word about Bret.
Right.
Ever. So, it's really cool, man.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.